Synergetics Journal, January 11-12, 2026. Christina Herlofson, Synergetics Research Project. Again today, let's consciously activate our individual brains, memories stored, recallable, synergetically apprised information commencing from the anticipatory design science energy rebirth centers of the interquantitative, intertransformative, intertransactive UIVMOFCH. This operational field complex, may accommodate evolving awareness of our individual consciously coordinated thought and language from its centers of an energy rebirth. The energy packages are always spherical, polyhedral, of omnidirectional, omnirational, metaphysical, physical universe, U equal MP. Tuning in humans can refer their individual metaphysical intellect's conceptual and reasoning aptitude as a function of omnirational universe. Synergetics 160 and Synergetics 960.05. The UIVMOFCH, Universe Isotropic Vector Matrix Operational Field Cosmic Hierarchy, unlike the PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex, hierarchical matrix, is a relevant resource whenever our individual local problem solving requires a clearer understanding of the most rational alternative options that correspond with generalization principles. In every case, a generalized principle holds true. So, if there is one single exception, it is no longer a generalized principle. This suggests that there may have been principles that were thought to qualify as a generalized principle, but subsequent to the contradiction, that is no longer the case. As we can read in Synergetics 226.64 in quotes, no one generalization ever contradicts another generalization in any respect, end quote. All generalized principles are interaccommodating. The readable language is nomenclature in generalized documentation. In written volumes of words is essential for interpreting metaphysical intellect's analytical nature, not first having to adapt to the politics, religion, justice, war, belief complexities in previously adopted manifest forms of the inherited hierarchies to which our predecessors referred their governing realities, not having synergetics' intertransformable cosmic hierarchies, conceptual energy modules as a commonwealth mainstay. Without the intertransformable energy packages, as energy quantum modules are not only for explorations in the geometry of thinking, but also explored survival stratagems our species, humans of an eternal mind, can depend on its conceptualities with respect to forming a governing system, replete with self-regenerating pattern integrities that are not otherwise derived, as is the irrational memory stored, irrelevant information that set into motion infinite, asymmetrically emanated self-other invalidations from the irresolute reenacting PRJWBCHM contextual parameters throughout human event scenarios. Our consciously coordinated thought language, cosmic to local, information gathering, problem solving propensities in the world game awareness dares to take deepest dives into the crux of critical problems that perpetually beset our inherently inviolable individual integrity with periodically recurring exorbitant insults. Intuition is on high alert to ferret out the least obvious enemies in this entire regard, as metaphysical mind conceptualizes various trains of thought referential to synergetics explorations in the geometry of thinking and the most recent video productions on YouTube. YouTube is my go-to channel, where enough content is disseminated for superficially separating the wheat from the chaff, learning more in the process as the search for truth continues, correlating our individual economic initiative with the self-determination process of forming a more perfect union. I list a number of video titles starting from December 29, 2025 through January 11, 2026, wherein this YouTube channel presenter, John C.C., employed AI technology to produce the persuasive videos informing and disclaiming to more than 17,000 subscribers and other online viewers that may turn out to be underlying a potential investigative financial warning to be wary of or convinced by it. The list keeps growing. It can inspire questions of indebtedness and imagination how to escape indebtedness. The YouTube video titles. They entered. Pension funds panic. Buy silver. Shanghai shock. China sets silver to $100 an ounce. COMEX drained instantly. It's gone, China demands. Physical delivery only. COMEX default begins. Final warning. China export ban starts January 1st. 48 hours left. It's gone. U.S. strategic silver reserve hit zero. National security risk. Production halted. U.S. missile factory stop work over silver. Executive order. Gov seizes industrial silver supply. Civilian ban. It's useless. Pentagon can't refine the seized silver. China owns the tech. It's gone. U.S. strategic silver reserve found empty. Audit scandal. He got it. Trump seizes Maduro silver vaults before China arrived. China strikes back. Xi signs export ban on silver. Apple panic. He talked. Maduro leaks list of U.S. traitors helping China. Shocking. U.S. Navy useless. China activates land route to drain Russian silver. 1.2 trillion exit. Japan just triggered the final crash. It's gone. China swaps $50 billion debt for physical gold. Price shock. It's official. Saudi Arabia ends petrodollars. The 7 trillion shock. It's gone. Banks sold 400 times more silver than exists. Default risk. It's over. Venezuela collapses. Silver explodes. The final lesson. See youtube.com/John Connecting Currency. Unlike the relative insanity of variously contrived deception, some of which may well be in this list of YouTube videos. A more perfect union, cosmologically, does not continue to delude recognition of life-sustaining essentials by ignorantly complying with indebtedness to hidden slave masters, regardless in which capacity it presides over human populations in the world. Hidden, thus, away from the maddening crowds which are directly related to the slave master's seemingly invincible position, as it is also the puppet master who fools the gullible, the naive, the inescapable, always partially overlapping generations held under by deceptive checks and balances. In any case, experience always comes before thinking. R. Buckminster Fuller informs humans everywhere on Earth. Awareness of experiences is first in the EISEDP human event sequence, closest to intuitions, before speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions. Yet, AI productions are positioned for the observing intellect's conceptual and reasoning faculties to decipher the intentions of it, which are multifold and perhaps multifarious, for controlling human behavior while attempting to supplant human nature, unlike anything positioned thus in the human condition until now. We can endlessly question the purpose of AI productions that emulate any human being's facial expressions, voice recognition. With such expertise, it is almost impossible at first and many subsequent glances to feel sure about what, in fact, is going on. Who is doing this? And for what deceptive reason, beyond simply providing a more attractive human physiognomy of somebody's regal life personality characteristics? Is it a cleverly devised sales pitch that depends on incentives to click the next and next link, leading closer and closer to spending money, purchasing a product or an idea, following the influence with no end in sight for this unregulated deception? One takeaway from internet-provided AI video productions that intuition must not ignore are the economic schemes, apparently tracing back thousands of years ago, that controls interest rates as a self-perpetuating dependence on indebtedness with no automatic debt forgiveness, so that the slave masters puppet master personality characteristics remains out of sight forever. Until, that is, our human intelligence, the inherently inviolable integrity of the individual, is informed of an alternative accounting system. In and of itself, however, an alternative accounting system does not guarantee freedom from the next round of self-defeating ruination, as interest rates compound, correlating with time on a continuing basis, excluding by intention to eliminate the debt, forgiving every fraction of it once and for all. Such debt forgiveness can be synchronous with the energy rebirth system, and it must be, if we hope to eradicate the puppet master, the slave master's non-transparent hidden agenda role acting out in the grand scheme of things, surviving throughout all human history, repeating cycles of its power, controlling lawmaking powers that also succumb to the insanity of permitting by law, making something permanent when all else is always intertransforming, as the physical begins and ends. Let us not forget, we have already begun imagining. Founding teams are underway now, specifically for omnicomprehensively forming a more perfect union's omni-rational governing system, including a Bill of Rights. It cannot hope to succeed by carrying over into its inspirational awareness of the TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy, the tired old terrestrial economic accounting that plays out in the PRJWBCHM politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex, hierarchical matrix. Repetitive steps. As any of those interrelating factors seem least likely to correlate consciousness evolution with the debts and interest rates, the relief of debt, the forgiveness of debt once and for all. Is the anticipatory design science-inspired governing system potentially describable as a cosmic democracy? We can read of this in Synergetics 410.03 of Avogadro's hypothesis. The word hypothesis is defined in the Oxford University Press Dictionary and Thesaurus as a supposition made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. It also describes the trains of thought in this underway research project. Informed awareness that is dependent only on trial and error explored survival stratagems. Avogadro hypothesized disclosing a grand central station that would accommodate all comers despite fundamental or elementarily unique differences of identity, all of which accommodate on a common value in parentheses space to number basis, where one molecule of any one element is ratioed to one space, a cosmic democracy. The concept gives us an idea we may never have thought of before, conceptually owning the responsibility for considering what can be improved thoughtfully and discreetly when consciously integrating the coordination of all complex interactions known as cycles as we form a governing system's more perfect union. Amadeo Avogadro was an Italian scientist, 1776 through 1856. His best-known contributions to molecular theory and formulating law concern equal volumes of gases at the same temperature and pressure, containing an equal number of molecules. Coincidentally, his actively involved scientific lifetime began approximately when the USA Constitution was drafted in 1787 and ratified in 1788 when Avogadro was a young boy. More than 200 years later, an imaginable correlation between his equal volumes of gases at the same temperature that contains an equal number of molecules suggests the use of words may turn out to be critically important, as the conceptualized generalized conceptioning models we are exploring in UIVMOFCH, universe, isotropic vector matrix, operational field, cosmic hierarchy, and operational field complex. Primarily because metaphysical mind and physical brain cannot be omitted from evolving clarification. This cannot be said of the extraneously irrelevant, dominating false premises for any number of supposedly valid reasons that take on and impose indebtedness without any omnirational coordinate system in the mindsets of the non-transparent lenders whose exorbitant interest rates may seem trivial but compound to bring down whole nations, plunging the human populations into deepest despair. All of it has something or other to do with symmetrical form, tetravolumes, quantum modules, as we can see in R. Buckminster Fuller, born 1895 through 1983, color plate number 9, mindfully of its potential to be identified as the unified field. We can read in Synergetics 950.34 that the common constituents of the tetrahedra plus octahedra are the unit volume of A and B quantum modules that provide a satisfactory way for both the physical and metaphysical generalized cosmic accounting of all human experience. In the Synergetics dictionary, we will find a list under accounting to explore, while recalling from Synergetics 251.50 that RBF integrated geometry and philosophy, discovering a single conceptual system that provides a common language and accounting for both the physical and metaphysical. Bucky uses the word metaphysical, not having discovered what I found, which is that since the P in physical nature in universe is always time, size, weighable, and temporal, the letter P of it does not belong in the eternal metaphysical nature. Logically, because the metaphysical universe is eternal, which cannot be omitted by anyone's default economics, therefore it is conceptually explorable, as is accounting in RBF Synergetics Dictionary, Volume A through E. We must also not forget to accredit E.J. Applewhite, who was a CIA accountant before he was hired by RBF to compile volumes of notes and logistically manage a great many meetings with R. Buckminster Fuller's busy traveling schedules as a team to publish Synergetics and Synergetics 2, compiling EJA's alphabetically filed index card files into the Synergetics dictionary Neither of these great men had any knowledge that I was in a close approximation to facilitate ongoing explorations with my synergetic research project, to invite anyone who is tuning into every breakthrough moment as the entirety evolves for our progeny. I can imagine the excitement of EJA's accounting mentality as he delved into many subtle correlations that must have troubled his need to balance all sides of a ledger in a complicated world. Accounting, cosmic accounting, deficit accounting, economic accounting system, energy accounting, epistemological accounting, frequency accounting, intertransformative number value accounting, life hour production, mathematical accounting, metabolic accounting, mortgagization, negative accounting, resource inadequacy, scarcity, synergetic accounting, advantages, hierarchy of, topological accounting, trial balance inventory, cosmic versus terrestrial accounting, structural accounting, vertexial accounting equals spherical accounting. C, triangular accounting versus quadrangular accounting, know-how accounting versus physical accounting, cubing accounting. C, Synergetics, October 1971. Artifacts, 28 January 1975. Communications Hierarchy 2. Photosynthesis, June 9, 1975. No matter how wisely governing systems elected officials assume their uniquely enabled talents and abilities to be respecting clever transactional, international and national strategic moves attempting to exceed campaign promises, typically hopes to earn the people's trust in such astuteness. The interest of the national debt is not a figment of the people's imagination. The real solution in the long run is to devise a way to unburden the nation from the debt's interest, which, logically, would sweep clean the persistently unbalanced ledger, exposing the external manipulations, giving control back to the people of an intelligently evolving nation. Perhaps when starting the newest administration, there could be a law to free its consummate power from the interest on the earlier administration's imposed debt for some length of time. It is the indebtedness for all the reasons that the governmental power during any administration contrives as its defensive, offensive, survival options. Human intellects, 21st century consciously coordinated awareness can include knowledge that nature is going from the physical to the metaphysical. General systems thinking clearly can distinguish the physical as a closed system. It can be where some highest positioned invisible giant in a power hierarchy is sitting on top of all the physical energy, the precious metals, the oil, with their ability to buy everything. Through those commodities, playing a game thus nobody else has the ability to get what those non-transparent players have. Who, in this scheme of things, is suddenly stymied by the checkmate position? describing a meeting with David Rockefeller's accountants to W. Wolf, Gloucester, Massachusetts, June 2nd, 1974, that was taped, shown in pages 27 and 28 of the transcript, which was about the Arabs realizing a game was underway, played with gold, when they asked David Rockefeller to come into Arabia with the Chase Bank to show them how to run their bank. Bucky asked, "What are they selling here, since all the Arabs have is physical, but know-how is purely metaphysical, now pronounced metaphysical." Really? We can also ask, what is the function of having a bank or any invalidating enterprise anywhere that cannot show metaphysical in the books? Why not accredit metaphysical intellect as a function of omnirational universe and a cosmic accounting which assumes omnivalidity at the outset in the first place? Until next time, thank you from Christina Herlofson.